Want to see lions, mountains, beaches, and ancient cities in one country? Then you need to see Kenya, because nowhere else on earth packs this much beauty into one place. If you're dreaming of wild safaris, vibrant cultures, and unforgettable landscapes, Kenya will turn that dream into your reality. This isn't just another travel video, because what you're about to see will completely change how you see Africa. Stick around, because by the end of this video, Kenya might just be your next destination. Kenya sits on the equator and has snow on Mount Kenya, because nature loves surprises here. It has over 60 national parks, because wildlife protection is a way of life. The Great Wildebeest Migration passes through every year, because it's one of the world's greatest wildlife shows. Nairobi has a national park inside the city, because wild and urban mix like nowhere else. Kenya is the birthplace of long-distance runners, because the highlands build champions. The word safari means journey, because every trip here is an adventure. Masai Mara is Kenya's most iconic wildlife reserve because it epitomizes the African safari experience like nowhere else. Spanning over 1,500 square kilometers, the Mara's vast grasslands stretch endlessly, dotted with acacia trees and teeming with life, because it provides the perfect environment for some of the planet's most famous animals. It is home to the Big Five: lions, elephants, buffalo, leopards, and rhinos, because the Mara's rich ecosystem supports these majestic creatures in their natural habitat. The annual Great Wildebeest Migration is a spectacle like no other, because over 1.5 million wildebeests, accompanied by zebras and gazelles, thunder across the plains as they move in search of greener pastures. This migration is a drama of survival, as predators like lions and crocodiles lie in wait, because every crossing of the Mara River tells a story of life and death in the wild. Visitors can experience game drives at dawn or dusk, because the golden light reveals the Mara's beauty and wildlife activity at its peak. The Maasai people, with their vibrant red shukas and ancient traditions, live alongside the reserve, because their culture enriches the story of the land and its wildlife. From hot air balloon safaris drifting silently over the plains to walking safaris that get you closer to nature, the Masai Mara offers countless ways to explore, because every moment here feels like stepping into a living documentary. The Mara's lodges and tented camps blend luxury with wilderness, because comfort and adventure go hand in hand in this world-famous park. With every roar, every rustle in the grass, and every sunset over the savannah, Masai Mara reminds you why Kenya is the heart of Africa's wild soul. Lake Nakuru National Park is a shimmering gem nestled in the Great Rift Valley, because its alkaline waters attract one of the most extraordinary wildlife displays in Kenya. The lake is famous for its massive flocks of flamingos, whose vibrant pink feathers paint the shores in dazzling contrast to the blue water, because this natural phenomenon creates a scene so surreal it looks almost otherworldly. At times, millions of flamingos gather here, feeding on the lake's abundant algae, because Lake Nakuru provides a vital habitat for these birds during migration seasons. Beyond the flamingos, the park is a sanctuary for endangered black and white rhinos, because conservation efforts here have helped stabilize and grow their populations. Nakuru also boasts excellent sightings of lions, leopards, baboons, and waterbucks, because the mix of forest, grassland, and lake ecosystem supports a rich diversity of wildlife. The park's dense woodlands and acacia forests create a refuge for rare bird species, because birdwatchers count over 400 different types within its borders. Scenic viewpoints like Baboon Cliff and Lion Hill offer panoramic vistas of the lake and its wildlife, because the terrain here combines rugged beauty with abundant animal life. Hiking trails and picnic spots invite visitors to linger and immerse themselves in nature, because Nakuru's peaceful environment provides a refreshing escape from Kenya's busier parks. With its blend of colorful birds, charismatic mammals, and stunning landscapes, Lake Nakuru is a vital part of Kenya's conservation story and a must-see destination. Diani Beach is Kenya's premier coastal getaway, because it offers the perfect blend of tropical paradise and vibrant culture along the Indian Ocean. Stretching for miles, the white sandy beaches are soft and inviting, because they invite travelers to relax under swaying palms, or stroll along the shoreline where the ocean sparkles in brilliant turquoise hues. The coral reefs just offshore create a rich underwater world teeming with marine life, because snorkeling and diving in Diani reveal colorful fish, sea turtles, and intricate coral formations. For adrenaline seekers, kite surfing and windsurfing are popular because the consistent ocean breezes provide ideal conditions. The beach is lined with resorts, restaurants and bars that serve delicious seafood and Swahili-inspired dishes, because the coastal culture is vibrant and deeply rooted in centuries of trade and tradition. Nearby, the Kaya forests, sacred to the local Mijikenda communities, offer a glimpse into ancient spiritual practices because these protected forests preserve both biodiversity and heritage. The relaxed, friendly atmosphere makes Diani a favorite for families, honeymooners, and adventurers alike, because here you can switch seamlessly from beach lounging to exploring nearby villages and cultural sites. Sunset at Diani is magical because the sky lights up in fiery oranges and pinks, casting a golden glow over the ocean and palm trees. Whether you want to dive into water sports, savor fresh coconut water, or simply unwind with your feet in the sand, Diani Beach is Kenya's answer to a tropical dream. Amboseli National Park is a treasure because it offers some of the best views of Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's highest peak, because the park's flat plains stretch right up to the foot of this majestic mountain, creating an unforgettable backdrop for wildlife viewing. Known as the Land of Giants, Amboseli boasts some of the largest elephant herds in Kenya, because the park's varied habitats of open plains, swamps, and acacia woodlands provide everything these gentle giants need. Watching elephants bathe in the park's natural springs or stroll in family groups is a humbling experience, because their behavior here reveals the complex social bonds that sustain their herds. Besides elephants, the park is home to lions, cheetahs, giraffes, zebras, and hundreds of bird species, because the ecosystem supports a wide range of animals thriving in this unique environment. The Maasai communities live alongside the park, because their ancient pastoral lifestyle complements Amboseli's natural rhythms. Visitors can learn about Maasai culture, traditions, and crafts, because the interaction between people and wildlife here enriches the safari experience. Amboseli's dry climate and open terrain make for some of the best photography in Kenya, because the unobstructed views showcase animals against a backdrop of snow-capped peaks and endless sky. Sunrise and sunset in Amboseli create magical moments, because the changing light transforms the landscape into a canvas of colors. Whether on a game drive, walking safari, or guided cultural tour, Amboseli immerses visitors in a world where nature and culture blend seamlessly. Samburu National Reserve is a wild and rugged place because it offers a distinctive safari experience far from the more crowded parks, because the landscape here is semi-arid and dramatic, with rocky hills and acacia-dotted plains. This reserve is home to unique and rare species found only in northern Kenya, like the reticulated giraffe, Gravy's zebra, and the long-necked gerenuk, because Samburu protects animals adapted to harsher conditions. The Ewaso Nyiro River flows through the reserve, creating a vital water source that attracts elephants, buffalo, crocodiles, and a rich variety of bird life, because water shapes the lifeblood of this ecosystem. Samburu's tribal communities, including the Samburu people themselves, maintain vibrant traditions, colorful dress, and a deep connection to the land, because their presence enriches the cultural tapestry of the reserve. Visitors can enjoy guided walks and game drives that reveal intimate wildlife encounters, because Samburu's lower visitor numbers mean a more personal and raw connection with nature. The reserve's remote and wild atmosphere makes it perfect for those seeking adventure off the beaten path, because here you experience the raw beauty and resilience of Kenya's northern wilderness. The combination of striking landscapes, rare species, and cultural richness makes Samburu an unforgettable destination for anyone looking to explore Kenya beyond the usual safari routes.
Ol Pejeta Conservancy is a sanctuary like no other because it combines conservation, community, and incredible wildlife experiences all in one place. Spanning over 90,000 acres, it is the largest black rhino sanctuary in East Africa, because protecting these critically endangered animals is a core mission. Ol Pejeta is also home to the last two northern white rhinos on the planet, because this conservancy leads groundbreaking efforts in rhino preservation and scientific research. Besides rhinos, the conservancy hosts the Big Five: lions, elephants, buffalo, leopards, and rhinos, because the carefully managed environment supports a diverse and thriving ecosystem. Visitors can enjoy game drives, guided walks, and even night safaris, because Ol Pejeta offers more intimate wildlife encounters than many other reserves. The chimpanzee sanctuary within Ol Pejeta cares for rescued chimps because it provides a safe haven for primates who have been orphaned or abused. Community involvement is deeply embedded here because the Conservancy supports education, healthcare, and economic development for surrounding villages, linking wildlife protection to human well-being. The open plains and riverine forests create a stunning backdrop for wildlife watching because Ol Pejeta's landscape is as diverse as its animal inhabitants. Walking alongside rhinos or spotting rare wild dogs is a privilege because this conservancy balances tourism with impactful conservation. Every visit to Ol Pejeta feels like a meaningful step towards preserving Kenya's wildlife heritage for future generations. Aberdares National Park is a lush and misty mountain forest because it sits high in the Aberdare Range, creating a cool and often rainy climate that nurtures dense forests, bamboo groves, and waterfalls. This park is a sanctuary for species that thrive in cooler, wetter environments because elephants, leopards, bongo antelopes, and giant forest hogs roam its slopes. The Aberdares are also home to the rare and elusive bongo because this shy forest antelope finds refuge in the dense undergrowth. The park's high altitude creates dramatic landscapes because mist-shrouded valleys and steep cliffs offer breathtaking vistas. Aberdares is famous for its waterholes, where wildlife congregates to drink, because viewing animals here feels intimate as they gather quietly under the forest canopy. Visitors can stay at unique lodges perched on cliffs overlooking these waterholes, because watching animals come to life at dawn or dusk becomes an unforgettable experience. Hiking trails weave through the forest because trekking alongside streams and waterfalls reveals the park's hidden beauty. The Aberdares environment supports a variety of bird species because it's a hotspot for birdwatchers searching for rare mountain birds and forest dwellers. The cool, fresh air and peaceful surroundings make the Aberdares a refreshing contrast to Kenya's hotter lowlands, because here, nature's quiet power is felt in every step. Visiting Aberdares offers a different kind of safari, one where the forest whispers ancient secrets and every turn promises a new discovery. Tsavo National Park, one of Kenya's oldest and largest parks, is a vast wilderness that spans over 20,000 square kilometers because it is divided into two sections, Tsavo East and Tsavo West, each with its own unique landscapes and wildlife. Tsavo East is famous for its open savanna plains dotted with red volcanic soil because this iconic red earth colors the elephants who often bathe in dust and mud to protect their skin. Tsavo West contrasts with rugged hills, dense bush, and rocky outcrops because it offers a more diverse terrain that shelters animals like lions, leopards, and cheetahs. The park is home to large herds of elephants because Tsavo holds some of the largest populations in the world. The roaring of lions at night and sightings of elusive predators make Tsavo a true wilderness experience because it's one of Kenya's wildest and least disturbed parks. The Mzima Springs in Tsavo West are a remarkable sight because crystal clear waters bubble up from underground aquifers, attracting hippos, crocodiles, and a variety of birds. Tsavo is also rich in history because it was the site of the famous man-eaters of Tsavo, lions that terrorized railway workers in the early 1900s. Visitors can explore vast landscapes filled with baobab trees and termite mounds because the diversity of ecosystems here is staggering. Tsavo's size means you can experience solitude in the wild because vast distances separate lodges and game viewing spots. Whether tracking elephants, watching predators stalk prey, or simply soaking in the endless horizon, Tsavo offers a raw and authentic safari adventure like no other. Lake Naivasha is a freshwater lake nestled in Kenya's Great Rift Valley because its calm waters and surrounding wetlands create a rich ecosystem supporting an extraordinary array of wildlife. Unlike many other Rift Valley lakes, Naivasha's freshwater status means it attracts a different mix of animals because hippos lounge in the shallow waters while birds like fish eagles and pelicans patrol the skies. The lake's shores are fringed with papyrus swamps and floating islands because this unique environment offers shelter for a diversity of plants and animals. Boat rides on Lake Naivasha reveal hippos surfacing for air and an abundance of bird life, because water-based safaris provide a peaceful way to connect with nature. Nearby Crescent Island Game Sanctuary offers walking safaris where visitors can stroll among zebras, giraffes, and gazelles, because it's one of the few places in Kenya where walking safaris are safe and popular. The fertile lands around the lake support flower farms and agriculture, because Naivasha is a major economic hub for Kenya's horticulture industry. Sunset over Lake Naivasha is breathtaking, because the sky paints the water with shades of gold, pink, and purple, creating a tranquil end to a day of exploration. Whether you're interested in birdwatching, boating, or simply soaking up the Rift Valley's natural beauty, Lake Naivasha offers a serene escape from Kenya's busier parks. Nairobi, Kenya's bustling capital city, is a fascinating blend of urban energy and natural beauty, because it uniquely combines modern city life with access to incredible wildlife and culture. Nairobi National Park sits just outside the city center, because it offers a surprising safari experience where lions, rhinos, giraffes, and zebras roam against the backdrop of skyscrapers. The city's vibrant markets, like Maasai Market, showcase traditional crafts, jewelry, and textiles, because Nairobi is a melting pot of cultures and creativity. Museums such as the National Museum and the Karen Blixen Museum tell Kenya's rich history, because the city is a hub for learning and preserving heritage. Nairobi is also home to cutting-edge technology hubs and dynamic culinary scenes, because innovation and tradition thrive side by side here. The David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust near Nairobi cares for orphaned elephants, because it's a world-renowned sanctuary where visitors can learn about elephant conservation. The Giraffe Center offers a chance to feed endangered Rothschild giraffes, because urban wildlife education is an important part of Nairobi's identity. Nairobi's restaurants serve flavors from across Kenya and beyond, because the city's diverse population brings global influences to the table. Whether exploring bustling streets, wildlife sanctuaries, or art galleries, Nairobi is a city of contrasts where modernity meets wild nature, making it an essential stop on any Kenyan journey. The Giraffe Center, located just outside Nairobi, is a truly special place because it offers visitors an up-close and personal encounter with the endangered Rothschild giraffe, a subspecies that once faced the brink of extinction. This conservation sanctuary was established with the mission to protect and breed these magnificent creatures, because saving the Rothschild giraffe requires focused efforts in habitat protection and community education. When you arrive, you step onto raised platforms where giraffes stretch their long necks gracefully to feed from your hands, because this interactive experience creates a deep connection between humans and wildlife that few other places can match. The giraffe's gentle eyes and curious personalities captivate visitors of all ages, because their calm nature makes them approachable and friendly, inspiring awe and respect. Beyond feeding, the center educates visitors about the threats giraffes face, such as habitat loss and poaching, because awareness is key to long-term conservation success. The surrounding forest and gardens provide a peaceful setting where other wildlife, including various bird species and butterflies, thrive, because the center functions as an ecological haven beyond just giraffes. The Giraffe Center is also a vital part of community outreach programs, because it supports local schools and empowers communities to become wildlife guardians. Visitors often leave with a renewed sense of responsibility and inspiration, because the center exemplifies how humans can protect and coexist with nature. Whether you're a wildlife enthusiast, a family with children, or someone seeking a meaningful experience, the Giraffe Center offers a unique window into Kenya's conservation efforts and the beauty of its natural heritage.
West Pokot Hill rises like a forgotten fortress in Kenya's northwest because it stands at the crossroads of wilderness, culture, and time. The climb begins in dusty lowlands and ascends into green ridges where clouds kiss the hilltops because elevation here brings rain and rain brings life. Villages cling to the hillsides, their traditional manyatas blending into the earth because the Pokot people have always shaped their homes from the land they protect. They wear beaded jewelry and carry ancestral knowledge because every generation has passed down stories tied to these very stones and trees. Goats bleat along narrow footpaths, and elders sit beneath fig trees because daily life here unfolds as it always has. Steady, proud, and untouched by modern haste. From the summit, the view stretches into Uganda and across Kenya's forgotten valleys, because West Pokot Hill sits at a vantage point where borders blur and the land tells its own story. Walking here feels like walking through history, because these hills have witnessed tribal migrations, colonial expeditions, and the quiet persistence of those who never left. The wind carries more than just cool air, it brings voices of the past, because every rustling tree and singing bird is part of the region's memory. Nature flourishes where people tread lightly, and in West Pokot Hill, the balance has held for centuries because tradition and landscape are one. Waterhole Lake may not be famous, but its stillness is sacred because it gathers life in a land where silence often reigns. It doesn't roar or surge, it waits, calmly, patiently, because water in these parts is both destination and destiny. From dawn till dusk, animals arrive in cautious rhythm. Warthogs first, heads low, zebras in alert herds, and elephants last because giants take their time where safety is scarce. Birds skim across the surface, their wings cutting glass, because Waterhole Lake is their mirror and hunting ground. The lake reflects everything, trees, clouds, even the gaze of those who come to watch, because in its stillness, it captures the truth of life in motion. Nearby acacias whisper in the breeze, and the soil tells stories in tracks and hoofprints, because here, absence of noise does not mean absence of life. It's a place of waiting, watching, and wondering, because nothing moves quickly but everything moves with purpose. The communities nearby protect this place with quiet reverence because they understand that losing it would mean losing more than just water. It would mean losing a gathering place, a pulse, a memory that flows deeper than the lake itself. So visitors lower their voices and their cameras and breathe differently when they arrive, because Waterhole Lake doesn't ask to be seen, it asks to be respected. Athi River and the 14 Falls collide like two ancient spirits meeting in motion because this is where calm becomes chaos and water leaps from rock with thunderous force. The river travels slowly at first, winding past towns and factories, collecting the dreams and dust of Kenya's heartland, because the Athi River is not just water, it is history flowing eastward, but then it reaches the edge. 14 separate waterfalls plunge together in perfect disorder, because the land opens up and says, "Here is your reckoning." Mist explodes into the air and settles like fog, because gravity performs its art show daily in this sacred gorge. The roar is relentless, ancient and beautiful, because nature doesn't whisper here. It sings in full voice. Local legends live in the spray, and elders say the falls are where spirits speak, because this land is older than the names we've given it. Brave souls come to jump, to row, to photograph and to pray, because standing at the edge of such power makes you question your own. The rocks below are smooth and treacherous, carved by centuries of surrender, because even stone bows to water in time, and when the sun cuts through the mist just right, rainbows stretch across the gorge like bridges to somewhere beyond, because magic here is not imagined. It's seen, and though the Athi River continues on, slower again, changed and quieter, the falls remain, waiting to remind us what happens when calm finally breaks. Taita hills rise from the red plains of Tsavo like sleeping gods, their peaks shrouded in mist and their roots buried deep in myth because this land remembers everything. These ancient hills have stood longer than the stories we tell about them, because erosion shaped their ridges before the first fires were lit in the valleys below. Forests cling to their slopes in green defiance of the surrounding dryness, because the Taita hills hold their own weather, their own world, their own whispered laws. Inside the forests, rare birds sing songs that exist nowhere else on Earth, because isolation has written a different script for life here. The critically endangered Taita thrush calls from tangled branches, a voice of survival and secrecy, because it knows only this place, and nowhere else. The Taita people walk these hills as their ancestors did, carrying firewood and stories in equal measure, because tradition here is not a ceremony. It is daily life. Villages perch on ridgelines with views that stretch past borders and lifetimes, because in the highlands, space and time bend. Terraces of maize and beans stripe the hillsides in delicate balance with the forest, because these people know the cost of taking too much. Sacred groves are left untouched, not out of fear, but out of respect, because the spirits of the hills are not forgotten, they are family. Every path in the Taita Hills leads deeper, into silence, into memory, into the pulse of a place that refuses to be rushed, because here, you don't just visit, you listen. Mount Elgon is not loud or crowded or boastful because its greatness lies in being overlooked, and that's its power. This extinct volcano straddles Kenya and Uganda, a massive sleeping colossus with a caldera that once belched fire and now holds silence, because nature is always reinventing itself. The mountain rises not just in altitude but in mystery, because everything about it feels older than time. The slopes shift from tropical forest to high alpine moorland, because altitude here paints the land in layers. Elephants climb into lava tubes at night, carving the walls of Kidum Cave with their tusks in search of salt, because hunger writes the strangest poetry. Their footprints linger in the dark, silent as ghosts, because not all stories are told in sunlight. Hikers move through moss-draped trails where clouds wrap around their legs like fogged memory, because Mount Elgon does not reveal itself easily. Every summit earned here is a quiet one because there are no crowds, no noise, only wind, rock, and wonder. The air is thin but sweet, and the ground feels sacred beneath your boots because footsteps here echo louder in the soul. The people who live in the mountain's shadow farm its rich soils and tell old tales of gods and warriors, because Elgon is not just land, it is legacy. You don't conquer this mountain, you learn from it, because Mount Elgon teaches that the greatest forces don't explode, they endure. Loitokitok lies at the edge of Kenya where the world narrows into plains and then suddenly opens to the sky again, because this is where you meet Kilimanjaro face to face and it stares back like a sleeping giant. The town sits so close to the Tanzanian border that the mountain feels like part of the neighborhood, because nothing separates you but wind and time. At sunrise, Kilimanjaro glows gold, and in Loitokitok, people pause, even the animals, because beauty this bold demands stillness. The Maasai live here, in rhythm with the land, walking with their cattle across volcanic soil and watching clouds gather on the peak, because in Loitokitok, the mountain is not a postcard. It is a presence. It decides the mood of the day, sometimes hidden, sometimes fierce, sometimes kind, but always there. The fields stretch wide with silence, broken only by hooves or birdsong, or the far-off chant of herders, because this place breathes slowly. Lodges and camps dot the landscape, offering a front-row seat to the drama of the sky meeting the earth, because every hour in Loitokitok changes the light and the language of the land. You can walk here for hours and meet no one, or sit still for 5 minutes and meet everything, because the land is generous, if you're patient. When the wind blows down from Kilimanjaro, it brings stories, old ones, full of ancestors and animals and stars, because Loitokitok is not just a destination, it is a threshold, between Kenya and Tanzania, between land and legend, between now and forever.